What's up, folks? We're going to review the Brown Knives Cortex XL. We're going to do it. This is it, number 155. I love this knife so much. And I've been carrying and using it for around a week. And I'm going to tell you what I think about it. So, let's check this thing out. Let's check this beauty out. First of all, please subscribe if you aren't already, and go ahead and like the video before you forget. I'd appreciate it. Blade length 3 3/8. Cutting edge is almost exactly 3. The handle is about 4.5 inches, and overall we're looking at just about 8 inches overall. This thing is amazing. If you're not familiar with Craig Brown knives, he does the FSDs, the FSD Mini, Mini FSD, FSDI, the Cortex XL. There might be a few more in there too. I've just recently got into his stuff, so I'm not super well versed in the Craig Brown lore, but I do know that when my friend sent me his Cortex XL to check out, I knew instantly that I needed to own one myself. And here we are. I sold a couple knives I really loved to be able to afford this one, and I am really happy I did that. I do not regret my choices whatsoever. This is an amazing knife. This is made by the USA, in the USA by Craig Brown. I guess you'd call it a custom, sort of. Some people would call it a mid-tech, maybe, but they're very limited number drops, and they're made by hand, with the assist of CNC machines, obviously, CNC milling machines, and you could just tell there's a lot of love and care and just really a lot of attention put into this knife. He has a couple different milling patterns. This one is this one. He doesn't really name them as far as I know. He might number them, but I would call this sort of like a sunburst-ish kind of thing. But he's got a few patterns, and I really like all of them. As far as finishes, it seems like he only does this finish. It's like some kind of stonewash. It's definitely stonewashed. You can tell more kind of on the back here that it's stonewashed, but it's got a certain shininess to it, so I feel like it might be, I don't even know, like maybe it's polished and then tumbled a little bit. I just don't know. It's got a built satin finish on the blade. Let's just talk about this thing. It's full titanium, obviously. Blade is Magna Cut. Blade is Magna Cut. It's a really awesome sheep's foot blade. I mean, this is such a good blade shape. It is not only wicked ass looking, but it is functional too. Super functional. There's a slight belly, but the tip actually comes up a little bit from the handle. So you can actually get a lot of the belly down on a surface before your knuckles touch, like in a pinch grip like this. This knife is really fun to cut with. A very nice tip for, utility cutting, but it's not a fragile tip. It's not a super fragile tip. Look at that. It's thin, but not fragile. Really beautiful fuller that kind of disappears and almost becomes a swedge out here. See how he does that? I love it. It's so cool. The plunge grind is super duper tight, and look down on top of this blade here. You can see how unbelievably thin the blade is just by looking at the underside of it there. Crazy thin, and this hollow grind stays thin for a long time up here. Man, this thing slices. While we're still talking about the blade, let's check behind the edge thickness. And we've got 16 thousandths there. It's actually a little bit less. Up here, 13 thousandths there. Nice and thin. Blade stock thickness is 122 thousandths. So that's great. This thing cuts, man. This thing really cuts. Handle full titanium. The clip is, I love this clip, man. I love how it blends into the surface of the scale. Like if you look at it from above, it just it really camouflages itself because the pattern continues over the clip itself. I also love that he has milled a flat spot with no milling underneath the clip there. Look at that. Flat spot with no milling so your pocket doesn't get shredded. Also, he's hiding some hardware underneath there. Check that out. There's 2 screws underneath the clip. It's below the surface of the titanium, so your pants aren't going to catch on it. But he hides them under there, and that's the hardware that's holding in the lock bar. If you look under here, you can see the heads of those 2 screws right there, and that's holding in the frame lock, liner lock, I guess, inset liner lock. So that's just genius, man. He has hidden all the hardware on this knife except one screw holding in the back of the knife here. He has his logo kind of thing. I don't know, it's a logo, more of a symbol on the pivot. I love that it's kind of an oval pivot, and then we have this track milled out around it. Just looks so good. And then on the other side, it's the hardware with also a track milled around it. Just such a genius way to hide those 2 screws right here underneath the clip. I love that. The clip itself is secured by screws from the inside as well, so you can't see any screw there. And this clip works really, really well, man. It really does. I love clips like this that are a little bit wider, but not too long. This is a perfect length of a clip. It's not super deep carry. You have about this much sticking out of your pocket, which for me is absolutely good. It just works so good, man. It's so smooth underneath there. It just slides in your pants really nicely. It's not too tight either. It's just a perfect tightness, perfect clip, really. Gosh, what next? I guess deployments. This knife has 2 deployments. 2 deployment methods, or 2 deployments, but there's a bunch of different methods you can use to open the knife. We have a fuller, and then we have this really awesome, I guess, top flipper, I guess you would call it. I'm not even sure. It's almost like a windswept mohawk kind of thing. I've never seen one quite like it, and it works so well. Let's talk about it. So you can use it almost like you would a front flipper or a top flipper by using your thumb. It works great for that. Or you can use it like this, over the top, like almost a regular flipper, or almost kind of like reaching around to a top flipper. Gosh, it works so good, man. You can even use kind of like this meteor finger right here. Yeah, there's probably more ways you could do it, but I mostly open the knife like this. It's just so easy. It's so easy. The amount of leverage you get is just perfect. And it almost seems like you wouldn't have enough leverage because it's pretty close to the pivot. But for some reason, it just works, man. And the detent isn't like super light. You think it would have to be pretty light for this to work, but the reverse flick is awesome too. I mean, yeah, he did it so well. Speaking of reverse flick, you have this nice fuller. You can be kind of up further toward the pivot, or you can kind of get further down here for a little more leverage. For me, it feels best when I'm just right about right there. Kind of right there. It's just, it's perfect. The action, as far as like fall shutness goes and smoothness goes, it is extremely smooth. That is fall shut. It can't be more fall shut than that. As far as like smoothness, how it feels in the pivot, it is really, really smooth. However, it is not quite as smooth as the Holt Morpheus. The Holt Morpheus is hands down the smoothest thing I've felt ever as far as the pivot goes. The pivot on that thing is unbelievably smooth. I didn't know it was possible until I handled that knife. But this is close. And as far as all other knives, this is extremely good. Just not quite as good as a Holt. The lock bar is very interestingly placed. So if you watch this top flipper come around, it sets right down underneath that lock bar, just with a tight clearance. And so the lock bar has to be shaped in a way that can accommodate this thing coming around and having a space to nestle in there. So it's a little further up on the knife. Like if you just grab the knife and go to close it, how you normally would, your thumb kind of wants to go down here to disengage, but it's like way up here actually, and I really like that because well, for a few reasons. The way that it's done is it comes out a little bit from the surface of this contour. So there's not a big cutout needed on this side to get in there to be able to access it. Since it comes out a little bit, it's just right there. It's so easy to disengage. He even has a little bit of micro-milled texture there on that surface. You can see it. There we go. It's so smooth, and the way that it just fits right in that little slot in the tang between where it engages and where the top flipper comes around right down here is it's just really cool. It's cool how he fit that all in there, and it's just so smooth. There's not a hint of stick whatsoever. It just works really, really well. As far as like double clutch goes, where the detent ball is, you disengage and it's right there. It's literally right there. Now we're past it. Oops. It's right there. Now we're past it. Now we can swing shut. So it is so... I don't even know if I've seen one closer. If you know what I mean. Like you disengage, and it literally travels like just from here to here. Here to here. Here to here. Here to here. Then that detent ball jumps up on the tang. It's up there, and it can freely swing shut. Perfection as far as centering. Perfection. This is a marvel. This is a marvel of machining and planning and design. I love this thing. It looks just really good. It functions really, really good. Look how smooth that is, man. It's just a luxurious experience flicking this thing, disengaging the lock bar, and letting it slowly glide shut. It's just luxurious. It really is. The choke-up spot is really nice. This choil/choke-up spot is just done very well. There's more than enough space there. Your pointer finger rests in there, and then your next finger kind of is in this little dip here, and your final two fingers are on this fatter portion of the knife back here. It just feels great. Choked back feels great too. The scales aren't contoured, but man, there's no hot spots at all. It's just very good. The jimping is not the grippiest jimping ever. When I first looked at the knife, when I got it and before I had flipped it, I'm like, man, that's not very grippy. I wonder, hopefully you'll be able to flip it okay. And honestly, the leverage is so good that you don't need it to be any more grippy. I don't think I've ever once slid off of that. Maybe once or twice, but honestly, it's so good, man. Surprising, really. Yeah, man, this thing it's really nice. This knife costs a lot. What did I pay? What was it again? Somewhere around $800, I think. Yeah, that's a lot. But I am so happy with my purchase. If you want to see it up against the Rosie, my other love, here is the size difference. Definitely longer. The Rosie, however, is kind of thicker this way. Here's the difference in the finishes. This is the dark stonewash versus Craig Brown's kind of, I guess, light stonewash. Very, very nice. These are both incredible knives. There you go. The Cortex XL. I'm really, really happy to have a Craig Brown knife in the collection. Would definitely not mind having more. I really want to try his mini FSD with the. He has a very interesting kind of button lock slash compression lock, liner lock deal that I really want to try. It's the button's actually on this side, so you operate it like this, like you push the button with your pointer finger on around the back. I think that's pretty cool. But I think this is his most angular, kind of most wicked design so far. The FSDs are drop points. Is this his first sheep's foot slash? I mean, this is a sheep's foot because it's not a continuous slope down to the tip. We have a little angle here. That would be a sheep's foot. So I don't know if this is his first. I think the first Cortex was also this, but I don't think there's like Warncliffe versions of any of his other FSDs. Again, I don't know Craig Brown's stuff super duper well. I'm just still learning. But anyways, there you go, folks. This thing is, oh yeah, check out this too. Look how he milled out this kind of area back here. These two little inside chamfers on the inside edge there. So cool. Yeah, the attention to detail is amazing. I mean, this whole inside edge is also got a chamfer running all the way around. The insides tool, is cool too. It's got a brain milled out, a picture of a brain right up here for Cortex. And it says number 155, M for Magna Cut. Not sure if you're seeing that. But yeah, very happy to own this knife. If you ever get a chance to try one, do it. There you go. Hope you enjoyed. Like the video, let me know what you think, and I'll see you soon.